Hey, good morning. Yes, it is Tuesday, November 28th. Almost the end of the month here. Decided to cook up a turkey there last night. Took a little while, but pretty good. So I thought today we would talk about what could you and what should you be doing during the slower times. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. So, with it being almost the end of November, I'm not sure if you guys are seeing this or not, but we are. As a repair shop, things have slowed down. And I attribute it to a number of different things, which would be the inflation, less money, disposable income. You just got done the holidays for Thanksgiving, but you got Black Fridays and all the sales leading up to Christmas. So you've got that tightening of the wallet where they're spending on Christmas gifts and Christmas stuff versus fixing or having something repaired. So how do you deal with it as far as during those slower times? And what are you doing? And what should you be doing? Good question, right? It's kind of a two-pointed question because I'm looking for, like I say, this channel is for all of us, right? So it's not a one-way street, and I've never felt that it's a one-way street. But what we found is we're picking up work piecemeal per se right now. I mean, today I got to go pick up a Gator that's not running right. I got to pick up a Polaris four-wheeler that needs a drive belt replaced. Tomorrow I got to pick up a Kubota compact tractor, mid-sized. They ran over something and damaged one of the lines going into the bottom of the transmission. But after that, I don't have anything lined up. Usually at this time of the year we have farm tractors coming in for the winter. And this year, people have tightened their belts. And we're looking for ways to increase revenue here. Because if not, then either we're going to have to, make some changes where do a layoff or something like that, or shut the doors. See, that's something we shop owners have to contend with every day. The employees don't have to deal with this. The customers don't have to deal with this. But us shop owners, we have to make a day-to-day call of what's best for everyone involved. And we can't think of what's best for just me, right? There aren't too many shop owners that have done well over the years that just thought about how is it just best for me, right? So one of the options is just taking the winter off. Claude gets his Social Security. I got my cows to tend with. But I'm still going to have the light bill here, a fuel bill for heating, taxes and everything else. I just won't have the income and that money going out. Now, I had thought about doing a mailing postcard thing. I mentioned it here a little while back, to whether that would might spur. But I think, like I told Claude, I said right now everybody is focused on Christmas, getting through the holidays. The money's just not out there. I said, we've had people say they have stuff that they want to get done, but can they push it till after the first of the year? I mean, even this year, which I normally don't do, we took on a land clearing job. And just to pick up some extra work. I've got a mini excavator, and basically the guy had bought like an 18-acre piece and subdivided it and was going to sell off lots years ago and just never got to it, and then allowed it to grow back up. So he wanted to know if we could just simply brush hog it. Well, we brush hogged it because I had the farm tractors and the brush hogs. I've got 2 of them. But after spending 2 days there brush hogging, you could see that there's a lot of big stuff in there. Stuff that the size of your, well, if you get much bigger than that, it's not good for a brush hog anyways. But most of it was like this big around. Right up to about like that. So we brush hogged it, and I sent the guy the bill, and that put more income back into the business. But I told him, I said, if you really want it done right, you gotta get rid of some of this brush. And I had mentioned to him the way I would do it is I would stump it. And what does stump it mean? Stump it means when you're going in to clear a lot, instead of just taking the chainsaw and cutting it off flush with the top of the ground, you're taking the excavator. I've got a mini excavator, and then I've got a EX60 Hitachi, which is the mid-sized, pretty good sized excavator. It's got to go on a low boy to go anywhere. And you simply just take and bring the whole root system right up, and then shake the dirt off from it, and then get rid of the whole thing so that it can't grow back off the root system. And it makes it a lot nicer for brush hogging because, nothing is any better than going right along and all of a sudden having one of those stumps just high enough so that the blade caught it, and she'll snap a shear bolt in a hurry. But he said, what's the difference between just taking the saw and cutting the top off versus stumping? And I said, well, stumping requires more time. It takes more time, and depending on how big the root ball is, and we also suggested to him that just take and pile it up into big bunches, and this winter after we get snow, set her on fire, let her burn. But he was concerned about the neighbors and the smoke and everything else. And we had talked with a few of the neighbors. I knew some of the neighbors. I actually worked with them at the mines. And they said they had no problem with it. And actually it was looking better just to get things cleared up. But he decided he wanted us to carry everything off from the building lots into the woods per se. So that required more time because now I put Claude on the mini excavator and I had him do what we call traveling, and he will get a great big bunch in front of him and drop the blade on the mini, and then it's got the thumb right on the bucket, so he can bring it right together in one great big bunch and then take it all the way down to the end and then push it right up and over into the woods. So he wanted to go ahead and just cut them flush and get them off the field so the building lot looked better, and that if somebody was going to buy that building lot, they could come in and remove all the stumps and stuff like that at a later date. But we spent almost a week and a half up there. And I submitted the bill, and he's like, geez, I didn't think there was that much there. And I said, yeah, there is. And I said, he said, how much more to finish it? And I said, you're looking at about the same amount, because the worst of it we've got done. We just got to go around and get the smaller spots. And he said, look, right now I can't afford it because I have Christmas and everything else coming up. But if you guys don't mind doing it after the first of the year, I can pay you then. And that's what we're hearing with a repair shop. If you can wait till after the first of the year, where I can kind of get my bearings again, I'd be interested in having you do this X, Y, and Z. What I'm doing, I'm taking a chance on it, all right? Instead of waiting till January to do X, Y, and Z, what I explained to this fellow with the field, with the land clearing and stuff. So look, things have slowed down for us in the shop. On the slow days, we're going to come over and we're going to work on your lot, all right? This is the bill to finish it. It's not due until after January. But I'll keep track of what we do here, but it will not go over this amount. And he said, perfect. Now, am I taking a chance? Yeah, I could do all that work. And then after the first of the year, have him say, look, Eric, I don't have the money. And then you're out, right? But would you rather take that chance or not have anything to do for the guys? Right? So that's what I'm doing basically, is the guys that I knew that had been thinking about having us work on their tractors, waiting till after the first of the year, was calling them, the few that I can remember, and saying, what do you think about just having us pick it up now and getting the work done on it, and then after January catch up with us? See, that's not going to be as bad, because we will have something here to hold, and that is their tractor. And what I can tell you is, we don't make a lot of money off people that, are just looking to hobcob it, all right? Our mainstay most winters are guys that have got, their inherited their father's tractor or their grandfather's tractor, and they want it running 100%, and they're going to keep it. And see, those guys are willing to put more money in it than what the actual tractor's worth. Now, I had a friend of mine, he's actually a customer too. He stopped in yesterday, and he was telling me that he bought a Ford 9N, and it had a side mower, a sickle mower on it, and it was in really nice shape. And the guy told him that it ran and drove as it should, but it's just been sitting there for a couple months. So Ronnie asked him, what do you got to have out of it? And he said, well, the least I'll take is $800. Now, $800, I'd have bought that just for a parts room machine. Okay? But on a good day, if it's running and driving and you advertise it enough, you're getting less people interested in the smaller tractors, all right? The Fords, Jubilees, 8Ns, 9Ns, they have a hard time trying to run anything bigger than a 4-foot brush hog. And a lot of guys are going out and buying like a 5 or a 6 foot and trying to run them on these smaller tractors, and they just don't work. So the market is for buyers for that stuff has gotten less, where they're looking more now at tractors that are anywhere between a 45 and a 65 horse tractor to run the bigger brush hogs. But for those guys that are just looking for something in a woodlot, they're handy as heck. And keeping their driveway backbladed, during the winter months because they're gas and they're pretty reliable. Ford knew what they were doing years ago, but it's still their value has dropped over the years. And I can remember one in immaculate shape. All right, not restoration quality, but nice, real nice shape. You could get between $300 and $3,500 for the older small tractors. And then if it was running and driving, but wasn't real pretty, up to 25, and then everything from there down. Now, that same tractor that was running and driving you could use in the woodlot is $1,500 to $1,800. That's how much, because it's all supply and demand, right? If you have more than one person wanting it, then you can ask a higher number because you have competition. But when you don't have a lot of people wanting it, the market dictates what something sells for, is the way I look at it. Well, he had picked it up for $800, which is really good. And I asked him, I said, do you want to sell it? And he said, no. He said, but he's going to buy parts off us it's going to be a winter project. He's going to make it all pretty, paint it, decal it, and stuff like that. But that's one option, is trying to find these guys that aren't buying it to use it per se, that are looking to have us do the work on it because it has sentimental value. And once you put a sentimental value on something, people are willing to spend more than what the actual tractor is worth, okay? And I understand that 100%. Because it's not something that they're buying that they're looking to sell down the road. It's something that they're buying that they're looking to pass it on to maybe one of their kids, and keep it in the family. But we haven't had too many of those this year. Usually I have 2 or 3 lined up for the winter months, and we've already started working on them. This year, nothing. It's crickets. Now, on the retail side, that's picked up, of course. See, we still do the online sales, and right now what's selling the best actually is farm tractor decals and farm tractor gauge kits and stuff like that, because people are buying stuff for their significant other that's into that kind of a tractor, put new decals, new paint, stuff like that on it. But as far as, we don't sell per se snow blowers or, anything new. I won't floor plan. But what I do in the off season, like in the summer months, I'm always looking to pick up a decent looking snowblower that requires not a lot of work to it, that I know that it'll have a good resale value, and fixing it and then putting it away until now. Like right now I've got a beautiful, it's 4-year-old Simplicity that I'm trying to debate now because it's so nice of whether to put that out there for sale or whether to keep it, because it's a beautiful machine. And we do the same thing, we start looking at lawnmowers that we can bring back that would sell good in the spring. Those are some of the things that we have, but that income we will not see that income until spring, early summer on the lawnmowers, right? So the money's going out, and at some point the money has to come back, right? You can't afford to, as shop owners, just keep paying out in hopes that things are going to turn around. Some of the other things that we're doing right now, with it being a little bit slow, is we're trying to get things cleaned up. We're looking at repainting. Uh, Even though we don't get a lot of walk-in traffic, because we're not really a big retail setup. We probably do more retail online than we do here locally. And most people, even if they're, 20 miles away, are more apt to buy it from us online and have us ship it to them over there than they are to spend the gas to come over here and get it and then go back with it. We sell a lot of stuff locally here through eBay, that. But no, I'm looking for thoughts out there. How are you guys doing right now that are running just the shops where you don't have a lot of retail stuff that you sell? And what are ways that you're implementing to keep the doors open and keep business coming in? So I'm going to start wrapping this up here. That. Let me know what you think. What are you guys doing? That. And maybe something that you're doing is something that we could be doing, but I hadn't thought of it yet. Because I think you get better ideas out of a group than you do when you're just trying to think of stuff by yourself. It's getting harder and harder for shops to keep the doors open. As we keep getting more and more what I call cheap junk being sold. A lot of customers that we used to have that were willing to put a little bit of money into the machines now aren't, because they can pretty much buy new by the time we fix their old. And I can't blame them either. Because what I've seen over my lifetime is everything is customer driven, okay? Businesses found out that customers wanted cheaper stuff, outdoor power equipment. We're talking about our field, because everything else is cheapened too. But what they learned was people want as cheaply as possible. And functionality came second, but cheap was first. So over the years, I've watched these businesses cheapen their units because they're trying to get it down to the lowest price point and make money on it. And what's helped them a lot, especially, is like Mexico and China, and where the labor rate is a lot cheaper. But then they started using substandard metal, iron, what have you, when they started building this stuff. So in the end, it's the customer that's driving what the businesses are selling and what the manufacturers are building. The manufacturers have never been in the driver's seat any more than the businesses have been in the driver's seat. It's what the customers want, because everybody knows as a business that the customer has 2 feet and they can walk next door if they find it cheaper than what you have it. We can go back to the 80-20 rule of 20% of your customers are going to give you 80% of your revenue. And then you have 30 to 40% are just got to have deals, discounts, sales, what have you. And then the rest are just window shoppers. They're looking, but they really don't have the money to spend right now, or they're not willing to buy that right now, but they're just kind of looking, So you guys have a great Tuesday. We're going to be taking off here pretty quick. Told the guy we'd be there. It's about an hour's drive. We'd be there around 8:30. Right now it's 6:30. Got to get the trailer hooked up and stuff like that. But no, it'd be greatly appreciated if you guys could, in the comments, ways that you're doing things or ideas that you have that may work for us. And I'll say thank you in advance. What and it may end up happening is me doing my videos and doing the cows this winter and taking the winter off. That's one option. All right. So we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. All right.